Hello everyone and welcome to CareersTalk. I am Suresh Sharma, an Agile consultant based in Netherlands, and today we are going to discuss senior Scrum Master questions asked at Cognizant USA, shared by our WhatsApp group members. And to help us with the answers, we have invited Amit Sachdeva, who is having close to 15 years of total IT experience. So, friends, before we begin, if you are new here, please subscribe to our channel. We have tons of valuable content for you. And if you find this session informative, please smash that like button. And if you want to join or if you want to be part of our WhatsApp discussion or job group, join our YouTube Silver or Gold membership. So, without further delay, let's get started. Welcome, Amit, and thank you for giving your time today. Amit,
Thanks to you for giving me the opportunity. Yeah, let's start.
thank you, Amit, and congratulations on your PMP before we start.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the first question is how do you assess the agile maturity of a team and what actions do you take to help them improve?
Okay. So as for the part of assessing the agile maturity, if it's a general team, general Scrum team, or a Kanban team, a good way to start would be to go with Spotify health check model because it readily gives you certain parameters out of the box, and then of course certain parameters you can add. Parameters that they give you out of the box are like mission alignment of the team members. Are they having fun? Health of the code base. Are they pawn players? Like, do they know what they do? Are they empowered to do? Empowered to do what they want to do, or someone else is directing them? Um, and it also gives you parameters like traffic light, like green, yellow, red, along with arrows up or down, which indicates where they are in the assessment. Like, are they good? Are they uh, okay, but not at critically danger level, or red, along with arrows to show are they improving or are they degrading at whichever level they are. If we are part of a single team, we want to have this understanding, this assessment of all these parameters for all the team members. If we are part of multiple teams who are working in combination, something like a tribe, or having multiple squads in terms of Spotify terminology, or if it's art having multiple Scrum teams or Kanban teams within it. So this can be a good parameter, good assessment to start with, and it shows how either one complete squad is performing or at a particular metric, how each of these squads are performing. So it can be looked at a column wise or a row wise. So that really helps to understand where we are. How to conduct it? It's a very easy thing to do. Either we can do it at the team level. So every team member contributes and shares their opinion, and then we decide as a team like where we are. Or if we are doing it at a single team level, then each of the team members can contribute individually what they think where they are, and then we can collate and discuss that. That can be a good metric. Now, the second part of the question is how do we improve or where do we improve? To begin with, uh, talking about the team members, if it's Scrum Master who needs some coaching, we can work with the Scrum Master in terms of servant leadership. If it's the PO, we can talk about the prioritization techniques. Like, does that person needs more understanding, more knowledge on the different prioritization techniques that can be taken upon, or how to engage better with stakeholders to gather requirements, to gather understanding of what we should be building, or completely different like team members who need certain level of knowledge in terms of technology that's being used. uh, Maybe we want to employ certain CI/CDs, or there are low level low experienced team members who want to gain more knowledge, either functional, technical, or whichever aspect, so we can use pair programming. If it's the process that needs improvement, so maybe we can consider having WIP limits in place, because maybe there are challenges, uh, multiple things are in being worked up in parallel. Maybe context switching is happening a lot. Maybe the ceremonies and the events that are happening, they need better facilitation and a more effective engaging discussion. Maybe the team that's working from cross functionality point of view, that needs to be improved upon. Considering the team's technical knowledge or the training or their skill set, maybe it's a common forum that they're looking at. So COPs can be created of common shared interest, so that attend these discussions and possibly ask the challenges or issues that they are facing. Alternatively, they can even learn from the challenges the other teams are facing. Maybe they want to change certain approaches in estimation. That's something that can be talked about in these COPs. So understanding which area they need help with, that's something that can be understood by these assessment models, and then we can work up. Alternatively, on a very similar track, if the teams are working on scaled agile framework, SAFe gives the assessment out of the box. So that's something that is readily available on the SAFe community studio platform that can be taken up on. And once we have the assessment in place, we can create the spider chart or radar diagrams to understand where we are doing good, where we are doing not so good. So that's something that can be improved upon. So these are a few techniques which are good techniques to start with. So,
Wonderful, Amit. Yeah, thank you for that detailed answer. I think that's really come out well. Okay, let's move on to our next question. And the next question is that how do you balance the team autonomy with the need to enforce the agile best practices?
okay. Basically, team autonomy is empowering the team and ensuring that they are empowered on whatever decisions that they want to take. They are empowered enough to do that, and they know what they can work with. But we need to keep a balance with the agile best practices, which should be there too and should be there for to sustain our deliveries and to sustain our efficiency, right? So to start with, any best practice that's put in place, we should clarify its purpose to the team. We should understand why it's being followed and what's the reasoning behind it, and then map it with the outcomes or the impact that the activity can give to the team or to the organization or to the customer, right? So that clarification of the purpose is very important. Next is setting up clear boundaries with certain freedom or certain flexibilities in place. For example, we might give that empowerment to the team, saying, okay, we are considering all these parameters, considering all the work, the cadence that we want to deploy to the customer or to realize the value. These are the approaches that are available, like Scrum, Kanban, hybrid, or any other framework in the market. But at the underlying level, we also want to ensure that this is the Agile Manifesto values and principles that we want to adhere to. So at any given framework or methodology that we want to pick, we want to ensure that at the back of the mind, the values and the principles are followed at all the time. So that's something that's very important. Another thing that we can do is again on the lines of empowering the team, we can put the tools of choice to them, like Jira is there, Rally is there, ADO DevOps board is there, whichever we want to pick on. That's perfectly fine as long as we are complying the organizational standards, the security is in place, all those things are considered, we should be okay whichever tool we want to pick, considering whichever tools are available in the organization. Lastly is the ceremonies that we have. Again, whichever framework we pick. So let's say Scrum framework is picked up by the team. We might have certain flexibilities in the ceremonies or events that we do. For example, in the backlog grooming activity, we have different estimation techniques. So we might choose one activity over the other. We might have certain style of doing the retrospective as long as the reviews are committed to whatever we are committing to, we are able to deliver. We are committed to the periodic improvement or continuous learning as part of the retrospective. As long as those things are happening, we are good. Another thing is in terms of autonomy, even if things are going out of track, it's okay. Coach the team or coach the team members as needed, but don't command in that sense. So if certain team members or the complete team, they need coaching or mentoring, or if they need certain teaching for any particular concept or a tool or a framework, provide that. But give them the flexibility that these are the guardrails that we want to stick to, and within that, we are free to do whatever we want. I spoke about the retrospective. So inspect and adapt should happen continuously, and we should be able to understand what's working, what's not working, and when is a good time to deviate from our path and say, okay, this thing is not working. Let's change certain aspects of how we are working together. We should give that empowerment to the team members, like certain practices can be tailored. I already spoke about uh, picking and choosing one estimation technique over the other. But then when it comes to employing certain practices in play, like DoD, we should definitely have a DoD. And as needed, it should be refined and improved as the time progresses. Similarly, in terms of openness and transparency, we should have information radiators in play. What does it mean? The metrics, the charts and graphs, we should have that for our team, irrespective of again which framework or methodology we pick. But again, tie that up with our outcomes or the business impact that we are looking at, right? And continuous improvement, that's very important. So as we move along, things may work as we had thought about, or they may not, right? So discuss with the team, give them the things that are working, talk it up, discuss what's working, what's not working. That continuous learning journey should happen as we go along. So yeah.
Wonderful, Amit. Great. So you mentioned about retrospective, right? So my question is, how do you ensure that most of your Scrum events, specifically retrospective, are more engaging? And most important, they should deliver some outcomes, some actionable outcomes. So as a Scrum Master, what you're going to do about it?
So to begin with, the retrospective starts even before the event actually starts, which is like we should have a good planning in place. Whatever we want to talk about, that agenda should be decided before the event actually starts. It might happen that we want to talk about dedicatedly one particular problem that might have happened in the past sprint. So we want to take a good amount of time to work through, let's say, a fishbone diagram to talk about one particular issue, multiple causes that might be attributing to it. Or it might happen that we want to have a lean coffee kind of a session, which is open format. Any challenge, any issue that we might have faced or experienced during our sprint, we want to talk about that. When the discussions start, we should try and have a practice in play to possibly have an icebreaker session or a quick mood check-in, depending on how the review went with the customer, with the stakeholders. So that gives us a good ground to start with. Also, if each of the team members has spoken at least for a few moments, for a minute or two, it ensures or it actually, at least helps to have a more engaging discussion during the whole retrospective. So that is something preferable. Once that happens, we then move forward to decide, okay, this is the format that we want to work with. It might be our usual conventional traditional formats like Matt, Sad, Glad, or what went well, what did not go well, what we want to improve, or it can be something like a completely creative thing like sailboat method, or it can be a completely innovative thing like using employing a liberating structure such as what, so what, or uh, now what, something like that. Just want to speak about that liberating structure because I'm planning to do that next time with my team. So in that we have a challenge at play, whatever issue or problem we faced. So that's what part of it. Then we have so what. So whatever challenge or issue happened, if that continues to happen, what's the harm that challenge is going to invoke in us in our discussions, right? Now what? So considering all that issues that are happening, now what we can do? So what are the problem solutions, suggestions that you guys want to give us, and anything that can help us to resolve this particular solution? So that's now. Next is facilitation just diving deep into the format, which is like facilitation with empathy. So it might happen that there are certain people who made the mistake. So instead of putting that person at the center of the problem, try and think or try and brainstorm with the team how we can ensure that the process is strengthened enough that that particular issue doesn't reoccur, right? Also, give the time to each team member to speak up. So possibly a silent brainstorming or a round robin method wherein each team member can contribute towards facilitation, towards the discussion while you are facilitating, right? Lastly, and very important, it should not be all chatting and discussion. We should also have certain actionable points along with owners that are preferably voluntarily picked up by the teams. So when that comes from the team, automatically that buy-in comes from the team itself. And last step, optional but very important, like to introspect on how this particular retrospective went at the first place. Did it went well, or what can be improved in the next retrospectives? So these are a few steps that I found in my experience that really help for an engaging retrospective.
Wonderful, Amit. Thank you. I think you have covered all the major points with respect to retrospective. Wonderful. Let's move on. So next question is on sprint planning. So let's say you join a Scrum team where the sprint planning sessions run much longer than scheduled, and
Hmm.
the discussions frequently go off topic, and the team is struggle to agree on scope, and then members seem disengaged by the end of the meeting. So as a Scrum Master, how would you address these kind of situations to make sure that the sprint planning is more effective and time boxed?
So one thing that I always think about is the moment it's going off track in the first scenario, first instance itself, try and grab the reins, try and bring it back. But if it's happening consistently, there's something wrong at the base level itself. So try and brainstorm this with the team. So first thing is when it happens as a one-off scenario, talk about the purpose, why we are here. So reiterate the purpose, saying we are here to understand the progress, maybe some challenges that might be experienced by you all, and how we can resolve them. Just a brief few minutes, because we want to time box this event at a 15 minutes maximum, right? A few common causes that have happened in my experience are um, poor backlog readiness. So what happens is we have seen that the challenges that they are sharing are not really related to the work that they are doing. So at that time, we want to understand, is it really related or not? So we want team to volunteer and say, okay, yeah, this is not really required. We are good to take this path and work through that. Something that we want to also do is we want to put the sprint goal as the center of it. So that should act as a compass, because if we are talking about certain items or certain work items that do not relate to sprint goal, let's move them out of the picture. Maybe if there are certain requirements, put them in the product backlog, or let's have meet afters about it, right? If the format is not working, so till now it was an open format, try and see if we can put up a 3 question format, like what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do today, and certain challenges that I might be um, facing, that I foresee. Another format that I work with my team as of today is walking the board from right to left. So certain items that are delivered, so critical items that are delivered as is like the value which is uh, done, the value which is delivered. Certain items which are in progress, which is the next highest priority value that we want to deliver to the customer, and then certain items on the to do part, which might be high priority critical items that we want to pick and work on as soon as possible, considering the time where we are in the sprint, right? Uh, a few anti-patterns that I've seen in my team is uh, team members either do not attend. So again, reiterating the purpose, asking them to join on time, or instead of sharing or cascading their status uh, via one or the other team member, uh, just try and see if you can coach them, meet with them one in a one-to-one setting to understand their challenge about it, right? One thing is, if the team is virtual, like we are working in a hybrid setup, if the team is virtual, having a Jira board or Rally board or something like that to see and talk about certain uh, work items, that helps to bring the discussion together. And let's talk about this item first or that item first. That really helps to bring the discussion on track. So these are a few things that I've done. One thing that I consistently do is in the retrospective, if this is consistently happening, we talk about it. Are we really doing justice to our daily scrum, or should we change the format, or do you guys feel that it is going good, or should we change some aspect about it because it's going out of the time box? So that should round up on how we are doing and how we can improve on the daily scrum part of it.
Wonderful, Amit. Yeah, thank you. Let's move on to now safe a little bit more. So you mentioned, like, let's suppose that you are working as a Scrum Master in a safe environment with multiple agile restraints, and they are collaborating on a common product. And recently you come up that there are dependencies between the team that has causing delays, and there is a misalignment of the priorities and the PA objective. So as a scrum master, what steps would you take to ensure the better coordination and alignment among all these teams, while you have to ensure that all the agile principles are intact?
So one thing that I really appreciate about SAFE is every event within Skill Agile framework, SAFE is tuned towards alignment and coordinating all the teams together. Of course, needless to say, but everything starts from the PI planning itself, wherein when the planning is happening, we have common outcomes or common business vision that we all are targeting. So when I say all, well, I mean all the team members are targeting, right? So along with my team and other teams, we want to understand and incorporate those objectives, those business vision in our work, and we want to ensure that any PI objectives that we plan should be in tune with that objectives. Moving further, when we start with our discussions, we have our Scrum of Scrums in place, wherein again, every team is working together and we are aligning our dependencies, any risks that we foresee, or any common work that might be reusable across the sprints or across the teams that can be talked about, that can be discussed. Any risks which cascaded from the PI planning to the PI itself. So let's say a risk was there that we thought, okay, in the iteration 3 or iteration 4, that will be discussed and that should be resolved. So we want to take a track about it. Maybe a dependency log, risk register should be carried forward, and we are keeping an eye on it. Moving further, we also have Art Sync as well, wherein we have so Art Sync is basically Coach Sync or Scrum Master Sync up and PO Sync. In the case of Scrum Masters, are we all in tune and working in alignment with what we wanted to achieve? Are my PI objectives on track to be achieved, or do I face any challenge or any blocker around any of the objectives? Similarly, in the PO sync, we want to take up like, are the scope that we had planned for, is it on track, or are we facing any certain challenge around it? The priorities that we had thought about, are there any conflicting priorities, or are we good on what we had committed to and we should be able to deliver? Along with that, PO sync would also have an aspect of what's going to happen in the next PI. So certain things that are up and coming, are we talking about those? Is it are we adding more details around it? So basically following the invest criteria. So are we doing that or not? Moving further, we at an art level, the alignment and coordination comes from the first place itself when we have a common art backlog. So all the teams are pulling in work from that common art backlogs, be it the functional requirements or the NFRs. And the objectives are also pooled in, wherein each of the team members, while they have their own PI objectives, we then collate them to form our art objectives at the art level, right? Then there are certain cross-team collaboration practices as well, wherein if there are dependencies, or rather, let's call them complex dependencies across the teams, possibly we can have pairing with the other team members, so that instead of just waiting and waiting for the other team to finish up the work, maybe we can work with the other teams to bring that alignment and to bring that coordination with the other team. Last event, of course, is the inspect and adapt to understand how we went well, and as a complete single one team, how our features align and how they are integrated well together. So how well they work as at the art level, and what, of course, as part of the retrospective, the adapt part of it, what did not go well. So all of that should tie up our work and align our work across the teams.
Wonderful, Amit. Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's move on. So this is with respect to the daily scrum. So let's say you observe that during the daily scrum, your team members are reporting updates to you in place of
Mm.
collaborating with each other. And the meeting feels like a status update rather than a planning and a synchronization event. So as a scrum
Mm.
master, how would you, adapt this kind of behavior, and how you help your team to refocus on the true purpose of daily Scrum?
Okay, I think everything starts with the purpose. So reiterating why we are here. So basically, we are here to understand the progress or any challenges that the team might be facing. We also want to understand the mindset, mindset where the team members are. Do they understand where, why we are doing it, right? So if possible, if required, shift the mindset to a place where we are able to talk about the challenges and still keep our work as a centerpiece, right? Uh, in the daily scrum, whatever format we choose to follow, uh, talk about it. Is it really helping us to understand the progress? Are we on track to deliver as part of our sprint goal, or are we facing any challenges? If the discussion goes out of track, possibly have a parking lot or meet afters. If the discussion goes into a technical aspect, again, schedule specific dedicated session with only the required audience, required participants from the team. If the PO is required to, PO should be required to participate in the discussion, but if the PO is required for clarification of the scope, speak there and then. If the discussion goes into detail or in a tangent that's not really required, again, uh, pause it, take a step, intervene, and say, okay, let's continue maybe in 10 minutes because we are almost done with our daily scrum. So, any strategy that helps us to bring our discussion back towards what work we had committed to, that should be taken up. Last thing is time box, and time box is so basically, like I said, it should be kept within the span of 15 minutes. One thing that really helps us, at least prior to this hybrid system, or at least on the days when we are in office, we try and use something like standing up for the discussion. So that really helps us to ensure that discussions are high energy and we are able to keep it at a maximum of 15 minutes. Of course, after that, people do wait up, talk about a certain challenge that they might be facing, or they want to say, okay, maybe I have faced this challenge. Let's work it out together as a group. I might be able to help. So any strategy that helps to bring discussion, helps the discussion in alignment with our sprint goal, what we want to work, and any format that we want to choose to follow along, that should be taken up for the daily scrum.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amit. Okay, let's move on to our next question. So let's say you're a Scrum Master and you're preparing your team for upcoming PI planning session in a safe environment. And the teams are new to PI planning and they're unsure about their inputs, their dependencies, their capacity planning. So during the PI event, there are multiple stakeholders and there are teams that need to be aligned on the objective and the risk. So how would you prepare your team beforehand? And what would be your role during the PI planning session to ensure the alignment and the successful outcome as a Scrum Master?
Okay, so basically, PI planning is a huge event which spans across 2 days. So planning has to be spot on, and we as Scrum Masters have to align with what's coming up in the PI. So it starts well before the PI planning day actually comes up, wherein we try and engage different aspects about it. We start with the backlog readiness. So we work with the PO to ensure whatever we want to work on in the next PI, is our backlog ready and prepared in such a way that we should be able to have we should be able to have a good planned iteration, at least one or two iterations, well in advance, because we would know the vision that's about to be shared, or the business outcomes that the business is targeting for the next PI, right? So that's one thing that we can work with the PO. About the Scrum Master, as Scrum Master, we can work on the capacity planning for the team for the whole PR. So if there are huge holiday blocks of holidays that are about to come, or if there is unplanned, or there is planned time off, so PTOs that are about to happen, so we can consider those as well. If there are trainings that might turn up during the PIs, we can consider that as well. If there are shared resources, shared team members, within the team, across a team. We can consider partial capacity, partial bandwidth for those team members. Certain tools, whichever that we want to use, like Jira, Rally, whatever backlog uh, work items that we want to pick, we should have those in the tool, let's say Jira. So we should have tagged them for the certain PI or certain iteration. We should have priorities discussed and decided, well agreed before time. That should be in place. Uh, Estimations is a big part which should be discussed and agreed upon with the team members so that there are no challenges about the estimations. If there are any dependencies, well before the PI, we can talk about those with the team members within my team, across the team members, vice versa as well. If there are dependencies identified in the other teams, we should be talking about those as well. Those should be discussed, agreed upon, and acknowledged as well in the dependency tracker. If there are any risks that are identified pre-PI planning, we should have those in the risk tracker and then being put up on the Rome board on the PI day. Mindset coaching is a big part because if the team members are new, like you said, we should coach them, we should teach them, or at least talk about the concepts that are going to be talked about in those 2 days. And if they need some help during the PI planning or before the PI planning, we can certainly have some workshops and discussions around it. Comes the PI planning day when the discussion starts with the business vision and the outcomes. When that is shared, of course, we would have our backlog. So now we can go into the breakout sessions to finalize our iterations, talk about any new dependencies or any new risks, put up to update the risks on the Rome board, to identify the risks as either resolved, owned, accepted, or mitigated, considering our discussions till that point. Uh, Whatever dependencies have been identified, they should either be mapped on the board or if you're using Jira, or on the Miro, considering where each team boards lies. So all that should be chalked out. Uh, if we have certain uh, problems that needs to be taken up with the RTE or with the other Scrum Masters, that should happen with the span in the span of 2 days as well. So that takes up 2 days of the planning. Post PI planning, we have to ensure that the PI objectives that we had talked about, or whatever challenges, risk, or dependencies that we had talked about, now they are entered into the certain registers, certain Jira with linking and mapped on the board itself, so that it should not happen that something was discussed on the Miro board, but it doesn't turn up on the Jira or Rally. So that should be coming up on the board as well. Next is all the events that I spoke about. So the art sync, the code sync, the PO sync, and the Scrum of Scrums. Wherever we go, all the registers and all the dependency risks, they are updated and they are being talked about. So whoever is attending those events, they have enough knowledge up until that point that they can give the progress, they can share the updates, and possibly ask about progress on the dependencies on other teams as well. So there might be certain dependencies which are being worked up by the other teams. So we should be asking about progress on them as well, because our PI objectives would depend on that as well. So that covers post PI planning as well. So yeah, I think that's important and should be done.
Wonderful, Amit. Thank you for that elaborated answer. Okay, now let's move on to our last question of the day. So you're a Scrum Master for a team that has been delivering unevenly, or let's say they are not consistent. So for example, sometimes they are meeting their sprint goal and sometimes they are missing it. And the leadership have asked you to provide some insight into the team performance without creating a blame culture. So which agile matrices would you prioritize to
Mm.
understand the root cause, and how you are going to use those matrices to guide the team towards the continuous improvement as a Scrum Master? Yeah, Amit.
Um, so in my experience, what I've felt is there are certain metrics that should certainly be followed, like velocity, burn down chart, cycle time, lead time, throughput. But what I've felt is, uh, because right now I'm working with a very highly mature team and a high performing team. So what I felt is, instead of picking a single metric, if we combine certain associated metrics, the significance and the improvement is much higher. For example, so if we pick up for a Scrum team, if we pick up velocity and sprint predictability metric together, we get to know that uh, what's the output that the team has been delivering. So to say and commit ratio of the sprint predictability and the consistency. For example, let's say for the past 10 sprints, for sprints 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, our velocity was in range, acceptable range. But for specifically these sprints, we were also able to commit what we were able to deliver what you had committed on. So that gives us an insight that these are a few velocity ranges wherein we are comfortable with. If I talk about the Kanban, cycle time and lead time, right? If I club cycle time with throughput, I get to know the speed because of the cycle time, and because of the throughput, I get to know the volume of the delivery. So instead of just understanding how fast I can deliver if I'm productive and if I have certain things in place, I also get to know the volume, the throughput, right? So that really helps me to understand multiple aspects of our deliveries with two metrics combined. If I speak about lead time with the deployment frequency or the deployment cadence, I get to know how much customer can wait, and that helps me to decide the cadence of the deployment ultimately with the customer. So if I'm trying to plan and finalize my deployment cadence, it helps me to understand that this is my lead time, is it acceptable to the customer? Because if I pick only one of these metrics, I might not get that actionable insight into it if the customer is okay with that lead time or not. Another thing that we use with my team is team happiness score. Again, going back to that assessment metrics, along with retrospective action completion rate. So that helps me to understand, is the team uh, motivated enough to deliver the improvement items or not? Do they are they looking forward to improving or are they not? Because that helps me to understand the morale of the team, at the same time their enthusiasm to improve sprint over sprint or iteration over iteration, but as we move along, right? So these are the few metrics. Individually these work very well, but when we club them with an associated metric, that really helps me and gives me an actionable insight to work in a more better way and in a more effective way. So that's these are a few metrics that we have been working with.
Thank you, Amit. I think we are good for today. So thank you for giving all these elaborated answer to all the questions. I thoroughly enjoyed every answer. And friends, whoever is watching it, as I keep saying, it's up to you to use these sample answers as a starting point, and then you can add your own personal experiences, your own examples, and please personalize your answers. So it's up to you to make them short or long. So please don't comment that, okay, these answers are so long and it's not going to happen in an actual interview. Yes, it's again everyone unique style. So it do happen, it's not happen, it's again is a debatable topic. But anyway, I am sure like you found this session helpful and informative. And if you enjoyed this session, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you in our next session. Until then, take care. This is Sunil Sharma signing off along with Amit. Thank you. Bye. And thank you, Amit, one more time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.